What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel Pigskin Addicts. Back again with another video. So after pretty much taking the weekend to digest the Keenan Allen departure, to really contextualize the trade and what happened, basically how it even came about, I don't think blaming Jim Harbaugh and blaming the new GM Joe Ortiz, I don't think putting blame on them is fair in this predicament. I really don't. When they were hired to come in and clean up a mess, right? So if we are going to dish out some blame, right, if we're going to have a blame pie, I think the three men that deserve blame in this situation here, obviously Brandon Staley, he was the previous head coach, Tom Telesco, and to a much larger degree, Dean Spanos and John Spanos as well too, right? Those are the two guys who make decisions for the Chargers. I think those are the guys that we need to blame. Obviously Keenan Allen, he's the best receiver in franchise history. Should he be ending his career anywhere else, especially when he has something left in the tank? No, I don't believe so. I really do not believe that should have happened, but nonetheless it did, right? So we have to really dive into why it happened, why this really doesn't happen, with other good teams, right? With teams who are considered to be good, Super Bowl contending teams, why this really doesn't happen. It really basically only happens with teams like the Chargers, right, who have dysfunction. And I think the Chargers are the best in sports at hiding their dysfunction. There has been so much dysfunction within the organization for years. That dysfunction has followed the team from San Diego to LA. And the Chargers have been really good at covering it up. Very good at covering it up. Mainly because the Chargers have been, a team that's had a franchise quarterback in place for a long time now, right? Going all the way back to Phillip Rivers, now with Justin Herbert. The internal dysfunction really has been able to kind of stay out of the media, stay out of the limelight for a very long time. It really is amazing how long the Chargers have been able to hide this, just because we have quarterbacks. We have quarterbacks and we're able to compete, right? We're able to go out there on the field and compete with some of the best teams in the league just based off who we have at quarterback and, a couple of spots that are filled with talented Pro Bowl type of players. But there's still dysfunction on the inside of this franchise. And I think when you're looking at this new administration, Jim Harbaugh, Joe Ortiz, they're coming in and they are battling the dysfunction within the franchise. I think John Spanos has given up a considerable amount of power. If he did not give up a considerable amount of power, I don't think there's any way that they trade Keenan Allen, just because he's been with the organization for so long. I don't think that goes down if John Spanos is still in power, which he is not. And I think, ultimately, yes, do we want Keenan Allen to be a Charger? Yes, we do. But ultimately, I think, just the way the whole thing went down, I think it shows that there is a big power shift going on in this franchise. And this is something that the Chargers have needed for years. Fans have been talking about it. We've been clamoring for it for years. And I think the Keenan Allen trade is very indicative of the power shift that has happened within the Chargers franchise. So on the outside looking in, yes, we want Keenan Allen to be a Charger. We wanted him to finish his career. But I think looking at this, you have to look at this with the kind of a grain of salt and say, damn, like this would have never happened if it had not been for a coach, right, who is as G'd up as Harbaugh is, right? He's an OG coach. He's got a college national championship under his belt. He's been to the Super Bowl, right? He's a guy, he knows what he's doing, right? But I think the Chargers surrendering power to somebody else, I think it could be a good thing going on down the line, right? I know that it could be a good thing going on down the line, and that's what that's what the conclusion that I've kind of come to is this is indicative of what's going to go on in the future, and I like it. I think the Spanoses are not great owners based on the fact that they really do not know how to construct a team, right? And I don't believe that they know how to hire the proper people to construct a team. You had A.J. Smith. A.J. Smith was a decent GM. He put together some pretty good teams. And then you had Tom Telesco working under him. And then, he obviously was elevated to the GM position for a long time, right? He obviously overstayed his welcome. And I think the Spanos family honestly just got comfortable, right? And they were okay with the status quo. They were okay with the Chargers being good once every 3 or 4 years. They, really didn't care if this team was a consistent contender. And I think those days are gone now. And I think we have to look at this as a good thing. And I know, I'm one of the biggest Keenan Allen fans out there, but I think this is indicative of something bigger. And I think there's a lot of good things to come out of this. Now, to get back to the blame pie, right? I think Brandon Staley deserves the least amount of blame in this, right? He is culpable for some of this, but I think he deserves the least amount of blame because he was just a coach, right? He was just a coach, a first-time head coach at that. He had no real power coming into the organization, right? He could give his opinion, he could, give his spiel on who he thinks the Chargers need to draft, who he thinks they need to trade for, who he thinks they need to release or whatever. He can give his opinion on that, but ultimately Tom Telesco and obviously John Spanos, Dean Spanos, those guys were going to have the final say. And whatever they wanted to do, whatever they felt comfortable doing was going to be the move that they made, right? Brandon Staley could only give his opinion. He did not wield any power in this organization. So that's why he is to blame, but I don't give him nearly as much blame as I give Tom Telesco, the guy that he's standing next to in this picture right here. Tom Telesco he's not a good GM. And, honestly, as far as GMs go, right, I would much, much rather have a guy come in, be extremely aggressive, and strike out, right? At least you go down with the ship. At least you exhaust everything to try to put together a great team, right? To try to put together a team that is a contender, a Super Bowl contender. At least you're trying to do that, right? Tom Telesco literally sat on his hands for 11 seasons, right? Because we had Phillip Rivers, because we had a Keenan Allen, right? Because we had an Antonio Gates. He rested on his laurels. He sat on his hands, and he was not aggressive. He did not make moves that were going to put the Chargers over the top. He was okay with, we have a Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame type of quarterback. We have a Hall of Fame type of tight end. Right? We got this good young player in Keenan Allen, and we're good, right? We're good, basically. He put together patchwork offensive lines in front of Phillip Rivers, especially in his later years. Offensive line was terrible. There just was no continuity as far as the team was concerned. Defensively, kind of hit and miss as well too. There was not urgency on the part of Tom Telesco. He was just okay with status quo. And the reason why he was okay with status quo is because of these two men. These two men that you see to the left side of your screen, Dean Spanos, John Spanos, these guys were very, very comfortable being mediocre. And as far as ownership is concerned in the NFL, it's just terrible, man. It's terrible. We know that they are making money, right? They're a money printing factory. If you are lucky enough to be one of the 32 owners in the NFL, you are making money. It doesn't matter really, the record that your team has. It really doesn't matter really who you have on your roster. Things really don't matter that much, right? I mean, for little things, right? You want to sell tickets and all this stuff. But as far as the lion's share of the money is concerned, right, this is revenue sharing. The NFL is a huge multi-billion-dollar revenue sharing company, right? And they share revenue with all 32 teams. And, these guys are making money, just printing money, whether or not their team wins or loses, whether or not they win Super Bowls or not. Right now, obviously, if you get to that point and you win Super Bowls, then your branding becomes a very, very, very hot commodity, right? If you're winning Super Bowls, you're obviously going to raise the value of the brand, which will ultimately raise the value of the team that you own, right? It can, take your team valuation from, maybe $2 billion to, $4 or $5 billion, right? That's what winning does. We seen this in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors, all of my life growing up, the Golden State Warriors were really nothing, right? I didn't even really see anybody at the games when I would watch. They were really nothing. And I think when Steph Curry first got to the Warriors, I think they were valued at $700 to $800 million. Now, when you look at the Warriors, they are, the most expensive franchise, right, by valuation in the NBA, right? They are worth more than the Los Angeles Lakers at this point. Why? Because you have that guy in Steph Curry, and they've won championships. So they have been able, to brand that, right? Be able to get a lot of different sponsors who want to work with the Warriors, right? I'm sure there's probably a wait list of sponsors who want to work with the Warriors, even still now, right? Because they have that guy in Steph Curry, right? They have marketability. They have international marketability. So winning does a lot for franchises. And especially, when you look at the Chargers being in LA, a Super Bowl can really take the Chargers valuation and probably double it, right? With just one Super Bowl, maybe even more, right? So there's a lot of money to be made when you win. But when you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, regardless if you win or not, if you are a lazy owner, if you're an owner who is really not all that interested in how the team does, when you're getting paid, whether or not these guys go out on the field and they get beat by, 20, 30 points, when you're still going to get that same amount of money at the end of the year, you really don't care. And these guys on the left, right, to the far left, Dean Spanos, in the middle, John Spanos, these guys are to blame for this. And, honestly, I think a big part of getting Jim Harbaugh was to get these two guys to back off a little bit. And honestly, I think that's what happened. Because if these guys were in charge, if they still had it their way, again, there would have been no way that Keenan Allen would be a Chicago Bear right now. So I think the silver lining in all of this is that this is a new day for the Chargers organization. I do not think the coupon Tom days, I don't think any of that is resonating right now in that building. They are making moves, right? They're making moves. They're going to be aggressive. Jim Harbaugh is going to be aggressive. Joe Ortiz is going to be aggressive. They are going to go after it. And honestly, this is what we have been asking for as Charger fans for a very, very, very long time. So yes, did it happen to one of our favorite players? Yes, right? Was that the move that we wanted? No. But overall, the philosophy, the mindset is exactly what we asked for. This is exactly what we asked for. Let's, kind of move and shift things, right? Let's make some moves. Let's overhaul the roster. Let's get a different philosophy in. Guess what? They have done it, right? They've done it. They've already started to overhaul the roster. Things are not looking good roster-wise right now, but I think when you look at the mindset, right, why are the same guys here? Why are the same guys coming back? That's not going to be a thing anymore, right? We need to get a better, philosophy offensively, defensively. It's already here. Jim Harbaugh is going to play Jim Harbaugh football, right? We have Jesse Minter at DC. I think he's going to be able to do some really good things. And I think this team is going to be a physical team, right? This is what we've been asking for. And they are making it happen, right? Making it happen before the draft, making it happen before any OTAs. They're making this happen like right away. So, again, as I processed the trade over, the weekend, I thought, man, this is something different. This is something different. This is what we've been asking for. And again, I don't think if Tom Telesco is still here, there's no way Keenan Allen is not a Charger. There's no way that he convinces Dean Spanos that Keenan Allen should be anywhere but LA. So this is a sign of good things. This is a good sign. Again, I hate to see Keenan wear another uniform, but if he has to be the sacrificial lamb in all of this in order for us to have a team and have an organization, right? Have an administration that is going to make moves, that is going to be aggressive, that is going to do everything in their power, to field the best team out there to win and to compete year in and year out, then I think this is the way to do it. And it sucks that Keenan has to be the sacrificial lamb, but honestly, I think we're in a good place right now. I really do. I think we're in a good place. Obviously, there's a lot of moves to make as far as the roster goes and things like that, but just, looking at the big picture and looking at the overall, I think health of the organization, I think this is very, very good. And I think this is going to set the Chargers up to compete for, a long time, right? They're not just looking to be good for 1 year, not looking to, beat Kansas City, for 1 year. They're looking to really be a thorn in their side going forward, right? Year in and year out. The Chargers want to be a team that most teams don't want to play. And, honestly, I can respect it. I can respect the move. I can respect the mindset. I can respect, all of the changes that are going on right now. So I'm excited. I am. I'm really excited despite what 2024 might be as a season, right? I don't think the Chargers are a Super Bowl contender coming into this season. But, again, going forward, I think, this is set up for the Chargers to be a good team year in and year out. And I think, Justin Herbert's prime years are not going to be wasted anymore. I think, there's going to be some talent around him. I think the coaching, I think the continuity between, the ownership, between coaches, between the players, I think is going to improve. And I think we're going to be set up to compete, for a long time going on down the road. I think we just have to get through this right here, weather this little storm here. But honestly, I think we're in a good place. But I just wanted to come on here and just give a follow-up, right? I made, a video, just raw emotion after Keenan Allen was traded, not really understanding why, not really understanding, what the move was about. But again, as I take my emotions out of it and, I sit here and I think and, I'm processing exactly what's going on. This is exactly what we asked for. So I'm not going to complain about it now, but I just want to come on here and follow that up, give my opinion on all of this, basically hand out blame as to why this even happened in the first place. But, again, moving past it, going forward, I still believe in Harbaugh. I still believe in Ortiz. And I still believe that the Chargers are in a better position now than they were at the end of the season last year. So, it is what it is. Again, we're going to miss Keenan, but I'm really, really looking forward to the future. And my hopes are high. My hopes are high. And, hopefully, things work out and hopefully, stuff starts to, be able to take care of itself. And hopefully, we're in a much different place than we are, a year from now. So I'm just looking forward to the future, and I'm very, very excited. But I wanted to come on here, follow up to the video that I made initially after the trade on Thursday night. But that's all I got for this one, guys. Thank you so much for all the support. I will be back, and till next time.